Hello everyone, it is I, Sonic1011, back again with another video in the 10 days of Sonic, and here we are almost done with the 10 days of Sonic. In today's video, I will be ranking the levels in Sonic the Hedgehog to 16-bit. Let's start. Sky Chase Zone comes in at the bottom of my list for the very same reason why Bridge Zone makes it pretty low on my list for the ranking of the 8-bit Sonic levels. Anywho, Sky Chase Zone is just a auto-scroll level, so that is why it's my least favorite level in the game. However, when I was a kid, I really did enjoy this level, and I think it's mainly just because I love the music from the game, which is my second favorite song in the entire game. But Sky Chase Zone is a very slow level, and even when speedrunners have to play through the level, they kind of just have the tornado be at the bottom of the screen so they can just avoid a bunch of enemies and just let it do its own thing, and they just talk about whatever. So Sky Chase Zone comes in at last place on my list because it's just a auto-scroll level. Coming up next is Metropolis. This level is a pain in the butt to play, and it's the only level in the entire game that has 3 acts, and it's already a pain in the butt to play. I don't know why they tacked on an Act 3. I really don't understand why they did that. And there's so many badniks that drive me insane in this level. There's badniks that are in the walls that you can't destroy, and as soon as you come near them, they'll explode, and they're shoot out little bits of their stars at you, and then it does damage to you. And then you got the crab badniks that have an extending arm that their hitbox is weird. So Metropolis has great music, but it is a very difficult level, and it is, one of the last levels in the game, so it is going to be difficult. I kind of like the boss, though. I like the boss, and I like the foreground color, and I like the background, but Metropolis comes in at my second least favorite level in the game. Anywho, Death Egg Zone comes in next for the same reasons why I ranked Final Zone low on my list for Sonic 1 16-bit, is because it's just a boss arena. And it would have been cool if it would have been like a full-fledged level, but it wasn't. But it was still cool to take on Silver Sonic, and I like that fight, but Eggman, for some reason, I still struggle with the final boss in Sonic 2 from time to time. Sometimes I can easily beat him, other times I struggle and end up using all my continues. And it's the only 16-bit Sonic game that I really struggle with. I can beat Sonic 1, I can beat Sonic 3 and Knuckles, I don't have too much of an issue with Sonic 3D, but with Sonic 2 I struggle with the Death Egg robot. I don't know what it is. I guess it's just guys the hitbox. Anywho, next on this list is Oil Ocean Zone. I like the music, and I'm glad they decided to switch the music up because in prototype versions of the game, it actually uses the Casino Night 2-player music. So it was implied that this was supposed to be Oil Ocean Zone's music, but we can assume that the music that was in Oil Ocean it was supposed to be for sand showers. But anywho, I don't care for Oil Ocean that much because, again, with the same problems I have with Metropolis, the badnik placements, and there is oil that if you end up going into the oil, it sucks you down like quicksand and you can die, and it's kind of hard to get out of that, is that I keep spamming the jump button. And the boss also has a glitch to where if you defeat Eggman when he's under that sludged oil, it could cause the game to crash. So you gotta be careful about that. Anywho, that's where I would place Oil Ocean Zone. Coming up next, it's a fan favorite. It's Chemical Plant. I find it to be an overrated level. Just like Green Hill Zone, this level has appeared too many times in future Sonic games. And I feel like so many people talk about Chemical Plant Zone because they suck at Sonic 2 and they've only made it to Chemical Plant Zone and they can't beat it and that's as far as they can make it, so they have memories of going to Chemical Plant Zone and that's it. But it is an overrated level. The music's okay, but there's so many other levels in this game that are better than Chemical Plant. Anywho, there is some water aspects to this level, but it's because you're in the Mega Mech and it's really like sludge and not technically water, but it is technically still a water level because you can still drown. And it took me a long time to actually to get past chemical plants, so I understand it is a difficult level for the second stage, and I can understand why people probably didn't make it past this level, but it's overrated. Anywho, use the level select cheat if you really want to experience the rest of the game if you're not that great. Moving on to the next level, it's the special stage. For the same reason for Chemical Plant, this half-pipe special stage has been used way too many times in the franchise. Of course, this is where it debuted, but it would appear in other Sonic games such as Sonic 3D on the Sega Saturn and the PC version. And there's a bunch of other games too, I believe. There was Sonic Heroes, I think used it. I believe it was one of the DS games that used it too. I could be wrong about that. It could be one of the Game Boy Advance games, actually. Either way, it's been used way too many times, and I kind of struggle sometimes with the second to last special stage in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 16-bit. So, and especially if you have Tails with you, it makes it a lot more difficult because then he ends up running into bombs and you end up losing rings. But the half pipe special stage is overrated, just like Chemical Plant Zone, so this is where I'd place it. Next up is Casino Night Zone, and this is kind of like the Spring Yard Zone that we've seen in Sonic 1 16-bit and Sonic 2. And I do kind of like the gambling aspect to it, because if you go in there, you get a bunch of rings, and I like the bumpers and all that, so it's kind of like a pinball machine too, as well, and I really like that. I actually prefer the prototype artwork to the final game, so go if you're curious, you should go look it up. I don't have footage of it, sorry. But Casino Night Zone is a really good level. I really do enjoy this level a lot. Took me a while to beat the boss, but once I finally beat that boss, made me happy. But this is where I place Casino Night Zone on this list. Coming in next is Emerald Hill Zone, and I honestly think this is a better opening level than Green Hill Zone. There's a lot more fast-paced areas where you can mess around with the spin dash, which is brand new to the series, and there's not as many rocks and obstacles that stop you. And plus, there's like little hidden areas where you can get monitors, like one-up monitors, and there's rings, and I think that's really neat. So, and the boss is, in my opinion, I find the boss in Emerald Hill Zone to be easier than the boss in Green Hill Zone 16-bit. Because with 16-bit Sonic 1, the boss he has the Wrecking Ball, and it could kind of be tricky for people to dodge that, whereas in Emerald Hill, Eggman just has the drill, and all you gotta do is basically time your jumps correctly, and you got Tails, too, if you play with Sonic and Tails to help you. So this is where I would place Emerald Hill Zone. Next is Mystic Cave Zone. I really love the theme of this level and the music, and this is basically kind of like the underground zone in Sonic 2 16-bit, but way better. There's no lava. However, the one thing I do not like about Mystic Cave Zone is that pit with the spikes. If you end up falling into that pit in the original 16-bit Sonic 2, then you're gonna die. There's no way of getting out of that pit. For some reason, in prototype versions, though, there was a spring that allowed you to get out of that pit. But in the final game on the Mega Drive, they got rid of that object. So once you fall down there as Super Sonic, you just gotta wait for your rings to drain. However, I like how in the mobile port and in Origins, that is a way to get to Hidden Palace zones. I think that's really cool. However, even with that little bit, Mystic Cave Zone is a really fun level to play through, and I like that there are vines that you gotta jump on that act as switches to lower platforms down so you can progress in the level itself. And I really like the boss too. I mean, the boss can be a pain. You gotta pay attention to where there's little bits coming from the cave. Like Eggman is drilling through this cave, and you gotta dodge those little bits of rock and that are sharp. But anyway, this is where I would rank Mystic Cave Zone. Coming in next is Hilltop Zone. This is basically like Sky High Zone, but with lava. And there's no cool weather effects or anything like that, but you're still high up on a hill. And I like the foreground color scheme, the green grass and the blue foreground. And I know that Hilltop just reuses Emerald Hill's foreground art, but when I was a kid, I didn't realize that. I didn't notice that. I just had a blast going through this level, and there's like little hidden areas where you can jump onto rocks and you end up breaking blocks to get down further into this hill, like you're digging through the hill. So I really like this level. I think it's neat, and the boss is pretty easy to beat, especially at Supersonic. Anywho, moving on to my next level in this list, Aquatic Ruin. This is the water level in Sonic 2 16-bit, and it does everything a lot better than Labyrinth does in Sonic 1. I like that there are paths where you can completely avoid the water. There really wasn't too many paths you could take in Labyrinth Zone to avoid the water. There were some, just not as much as Aquatic Ruin has. I also think it's neat that at the beginning of Act 2, there are those swinging platforms. If you jump on the final one and you just let it swing, it will actually detach from the chain and just let you float on top of the water. And I didn't notice that as a kid. I learned that when I joined Sonic Retro. It's little things like that that can really make a level so cool, and I think it's so neat that they did this. And this is back in 1992 on the Genesis slash Mega Drive. And I like the theme of Aquatic Ruin. I like that there are big marble stone platforms that you gotta jump on and break to progress. There are little areas that shoot out arrows and it has Eggman's face on it. And you got Grounder that makes an appearance in this level, who would become a character in the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. So Aquatic Ruin, overall, great, fun level to play. But overall, my favorite level in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on the Mega Drive slash Genesis is Wing Fortress Zone. This level is one of my favorite, like, it is my favorite level in the game. When I was a kid, I did not like this level. But now, as an adult, I enjoy playing through this level, especially if you know the little shortcuts to make it a little bit easier to get through. Like there is, and also Scratch kind of makes an appearance in this level. And I like that you basically go from Sky Chase, that is just an auto scroll level, and you're chasing after the Wing Fortress. And I like that at the beginning of this level, also, that the tornado gets shot down by the Wing Fortress, and then Sonic is on his own. Even if you played as Sonic and Tails, Sonic is now officially on his own, and he's got to conquer this fortress that Eggman had built as he's going up to the Death Egg. And it's a really fun level. The boss is a pain in the butt, but again, this is the second to last level. Wing Fortress is my favorite level in Sonic 2 16-bit on the Mega Drive. However, honorable mention goes to Hidden Palace. If this level was in Sonic 2 on the Mega Drive, this would have been my favorite level. And since it's only available in ROM hacks, and now officially on the mobile port and in Origins, I'm placing it here as an honorable mention because I'm basically talking about the Mega Drive version. But this was intended apparently to be just a level that was supposed to be for a cutscene, but at some point in development, it was actually a almost fully playable level, and then they just scrapped it. But it's such a shame that this level was scrapped, but I'm so glad that the Taxman and Stealth were able to include this level in the mobile ports, and then thus that port made it to Origins, and this would have been my favorite level. I love the music. I love the actual theming of a level that you're in this cave-like area, but there's like little master emerald looking things, like different like stones, and you gotta jump on them. They're rocks, they're breakable rocks, and there's tubes. And this also has water too. It's such a good level, and I do like the boss that was added to. It's a pain in the butt to beat, but I like how it's like the Eggman, he's got trombones and stuff. It's a really good level, and then you got the little organ in the back. Ah, I wish it was in the original. I really do, but at least it exists. in Origins and the mobile ports. So, this has been the ranking of all the levels in Sonic 2 16-bit. I already did the ones on Sonic 2 8-bit, which you can find in this playlist. And I hope you like this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell for more, and I'll catch you in the next episode of the 10 Days of Sonic. You all take care.